Hello, my name is Lucas. This is a bit of lit, and I wanted to talk about Holes by Louis Sachar, which I read at work for work because I have some classes in which I will be discussing holes and some themes to get them to think about literature and what it can mean and how it can convey big ideas and that kind of thing. If you never read it as a young adult, I do recommend it. It's a very quick read, incredibly enjoyable, excellent story. Um, so yeah, it sort of got a couple different plot lines going on, or not plot lines, timelines going on. It follows primarily Stanley Yelnats and how he was sent to to a camp to serve time essentially for a year and a half, it seems 18 months, for a crime he didn't commit because he was found with some shoes that were being, donated to a homeless shelter so that it could be sold and, the money would fund the shelter. But he didn't do it. However, he was found with it. The testimonies sort of led to the conclusion that, well, you had it. These were this baseball player's Sweet Feet's shoes, and there's no other explanation. So you can either go to jail or you can go to this camp. And so he chooses to go to the camp, and he meets a whole bunch of young kids who are quite tough. X-ray, armpit, squid, zigzag, zero, of course. And then there's Mr. Sir, who is one of the counselors, as well as Mr. Pendansky, or Mom. And then there's the warden, who is a woman who is tough as nails, shall we say. And throughout it, we get this backstory for Stanley and his family because he blames his rotten luck on his no good pig stealing great great grandfather, who once upon a time wanted to marry this one woman, and Madame Zeroni tried to help him by letting him carry a pig up a mountain, letting it drink from the spring well up there, and then carrying it back down. And, she had suggested don't bother with this woman because she's an airhead. Just go to America like my child. But he was bound and determined to do this, and she said, okay, well, when you're done with that, please carry me up so that I may drink. And then sing a song to me. Sing a song to the pig as well, every day that you do. And he ends up not doing much of anything except getting the pig nice and big, and gives the pig away, and never brought Madame Zeroni up the mountain, and he was cursed for it. And his child was had his thing stolen from Kate, who is the toughest son of a gun in the West. Not son of a gun because she was a woman, who has her own tragic backstory. She was a school teacher, we learn, in this camp area, which is also cursed. It hasn't rained since her time. And she was a school teacher. Everyone loved her. This big doofus idiot rich guy also took a liking to her, but she was not interested in him. And she was interested in Sam, who was a black man in this small community in Texas, who was a handyman and also the onion merchant, so to speak. He had if anyone had an ailment, he had an ointment, he had a cure for all these people, for baldness, for illness, for whatever. And, you know, she had a problem, he would tell her, I can fix that. And so he fixes and fixes and fixes, and one day she has nothing else to fix. And she has a broken heart, and he says, I can fix that. And they kiss, and someone sees this, and the whole town loses their mind because it's illegal for a black man to kiss a white woman. And, you know, Kate tries to help him, desperately goes to the sheriff, who wants a little kissing of his own, finds that she's not going to get equal treatment because she's a white woman and he's a black man, and God forbid that ever happen, and isn't going to find a way to get him out of this problem. So they try to go across the lake on his boat, Mary Lou, which was the name of his donkey as well. Unfortunately, the rich man has a motorboat at this time and catches them. Sam is killed. Mary Lou, the donkey, was killed. Kate was taken against her will. And she becomes an outlaw and starts stealing from people. And ever since that day, it stopped raining and raining and raining. And it just didn't rain for a very, very long time. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, it stopped raining, and she kept collecting money. She eventually stole from a Stanley Yelnats, who, now I feel like I said something wrong. I don't know what I said wrong. Anyway, we'll just keep moving on because I've been talking long enough. All these sort of stories converge for Stanley, who's at this camp, which is at the same lake, the dried up lake, that the story I was just relaying to you happened. So there's these two curses sort of going on, and there's a question asked at the end of one of these chapters that tells about the very end of that story about Kate and Sam. Whom did God punish? And that's a really good question because a lot of people suffer from all those things that happen. And anyway, Stanley starts putting the pieces of the puzzle together when he first finds a tube, a lipstick with KB on it, and he starts to think, well, I remember some stories about a KB. Oh wait, my great-grandfather was talking about Kate, and could it be that this is Kate? And we get more and more information about it, and he becomes friends with Zero, whose name is Hector Zeroni. And later on in the book, Zero runs away. Stanley feels like he might still be out there, so he wants to go help him. And he ends up carrying Zero up this mountain where the water runs upwards on God's thumb, which is something he heard about from his great-grandfather, or a story from his great-grandfather. Or is it great-great-grandfather? I can't remember. There's so many greats. Please forgive me. Thus, sort of ending the curse, if there ever was one. And, him coming into his own and dealing with the rest of the story. I'll leave the end up to you to find out. It's really a great story. There's a lot, especially with Kate and with Sam, that whole race relation thing going on. She sort of upends everything in this town and the whole community, the whole county or whatever, when she asks for fair treatment. If he's going to be hanged, then I should be hanged too. That is equal. everyone is equal in the eyes of God. And that's when the sheriff proves himself a creep, of course. And you know, I mean, Zero is a character who is homeless early on. He's lost touch with his mother, and is sort of lost in the shuffle and put into this camp. And they try to hide any record of him once he goes missing, because they know that nobody's gonna come looking for him. And you know, there's just a lot of things going on. It's really interesting because Louis Sachar used to be a lawyer. So I'm sure there's some element of his knowledge of the legal system that he's trying to convey about some injustices within the system, with the penal system, and how it works and functions and punishes people cruelly and unjustly, generationally even. I mean, we see it with Sam, we see it with Hector, we see different responses to it. Kate tries to say, "Screw this! I'm tearing it all down," and becomes an outlaw. If the law's not just, what did the laws matter in a way for her? And you know, she wants to get revenge, and she died with Sam and that kind of thing. Stanley, of course, it's interesting because he has a lot of bad luck. Bad things happen to him, but there are causes to these effects, and he doesn't quite know them, so he just considers it bad luck. And it makes you wonder, like, in a way, like, it does seem like there is a curse, but how much is there one? You know, because after everything happens, it finally rains at this camp in the lake, which it hasn't since Sam died. But we saw storms before the conclusion of this story that are mentioned off in the distance. You know, some storm clouds and what have you. So, did Stanley have to do what his great pigs, no good, dirty, rotten, pig stealing great grandfather Elias Yelnats should have done? But when he should have taken Madame Zeroni up, but he took Hector Zeroni up and fed him and you know, nourished him and all that stuff to bring him back to health. Did that break the curse, or was it just by chance that this happened? This storm finally coming and raining. I don't know. There's a lot of great things to it. I did just read it, and I've read it before, and I've seen the movie a million times. But yeah, I should really write notes, I guess, maybe just to make sure that I get the great right, or if there's something I think I said not quite right. Anyway, read it. It's great. Tell me what you think, if you've read it before, if you're going to read it, or what have you. Great book. Thank you. Goodbye.